Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I thought I'd bring some of the old character of the meeting back by standing up for my speech. Well, how do you time your hand washing? Singing the happy birthday song twice? Or perhaps the first half of the operatic section of Bohemian Rhapsody? Or perhaps reciting the profound statements of Donald Trump and then continuing on for another 20 seconds. For me, the first positive thing that came out of this pandemic was learning that 20 seconds is how long to wash one's hands. I knew the song tips, but I didn't remember the timing, and I don't even like singing happy birthday at happy birthday parties. Now, whenever I walk into the house, regardless of what I was doing, where I'd been, I don't even make the decision. I go directly to the sink and wash my hands for 20 seconds. And I count it out. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. And I'm doing that because that's what the research shows. 20 seconds of lathering your hands. Doesn't matter what the water temperature is, it's 20 seconds of time. Washing it off. On this week's episode of George Rob's podcast, he talks about a bright spot in this strange and challenging days. People are listening to scientists. It's a veritable celebration of science. Whenever you see people social distancing, they're listening to science. When the stores are empty, it's listening to science. Not a great situation, but we're listening to science. They might not always be doing it all right, but I think people are trying. In the early days of the captivity, one of my clients who lives not far from me suggested, we could probably meet because neither of us have really been in contact with people who are traveling overseas. It should be fine. Well, she was trying. It was not a good idea and definitely said no. For one thing, my son had been in Italy in January, and when he got back, had a horrible cold. He's hoping it was COVID. Once the antibody tests are finally available, we might find out. But the reasoning that goes into it is what really matters. Even, unfortunately, a lot of times the underlying facts are wrong. Why we have to listen is the danger of COVID-19. On the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, last week, the week before, sometime, I don't know how your perception of time is. For me, I can't believe it's been over a month since I could go into 3M for work. Not that I did so other than just for FaceTime with clients. But on the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, they described a video that illustrates the difference between COVID-19 and the flu, which people were comparing it. After 10 encounters with people with the flu, 16 people are infected based on the R0, that on average a person, for the flu it's around 1.3 other people become infected. With COVID, which has about twice the R0, after 10 infections, 10 encounters, 56,000 people could be infected on average. Now, some compare it recently with automobile accidents. Even though after 10 encounters, not counting the initial one with the other party in your accident, only one person, you, has had an accident due to the initial situation. So it's not exactly the same. Now, I often refer to this time as the captivity because I love irony and I love hyperbole, because it really captures our powerlessness against the virus. Some people, however, as you've seen in the last week, I'm sure, are without irony. You've probably seen the zombie photo from Ohio, in which protesters are pressed against the doors of the State House. No semblance of social distancing there. They look like zombies from the movie. If you haven't seen it, you have to go to Google Images and search Ohio protesters and Shaun of the Dead. They compare a scene from that movie, a parody of the Dawn of the Dead movies, with the shot of the protesters. The resemblance is scary. Now, the motto of these protesters, I'm pretty sure it's their motto, I've read it in 2 satirical commentaries on it, is "Give me liberty and give me death." One of my satirical sources, Alexandra Petrie's column in the Washington Post, which I've started reading lately, and it's hilarious, unfortunately had a picture of our governor's mansion with protesters in front of it. One guy holding a sign that said, "The models are wrong." I'd love to know why he thinks the models are wrong. Perhaps he is an esteemed epidemiologist on the scale of Dr. Fauci. But of course, even if I had known about it at the time, I would not have gone down to the protest, because it's pretty hard to have a socially distanced conversation with someone in the middle of a protest. Oh, by the way, speaking of social distancing, us Scandinavians have been preparing this for our whole lives. When I heard the guidelines, I thought, why so close? When I'm out and about, unnecessary, essential errands, of course, I wear a mask, maintain my distance from other people, and silently recite my mantra. When I get home, I'm going to wash my hands thoroughly and touch the hell out of my face. I've been wearing a mask since the guidance changed, which makes me want to touch my face even more, because that's why they initially recommended against wearing a mask. Fortunately, back in my days as a geologist, I was trained on how to properly don and doff a respirator. That's something you never forget, because being fitted for a respirator doesn't really make one feel safer about one's job. The first weekend of the new guidance, I went up to Lowe's in Maple Grove on an essential errand, of course, to go to Trader Joe's for wine across the street. And I was one of the few people wearing a mask that day. Yesterday, I went to Home Depot, and the people without masks were the ones that stood out as unusual. It was really good to see. For one thing, my daughter works at Menards, and last week they were issued masks to wear, and the requirement came down that all employees have to wear masks. And she was thrilled to read on the package that this mask does not protect against viruses. Of course, not that I'd expect them to be wearing N95 masks. That wouldn't be a good look. So I appreciate everyone who has to work in these times, and I do what I can to make their job easier, because I know that I'm lucky that my work life hasn't really changed. I work at home most of the time. I only go out to 3M so my clients know that I'm a real person and not just a voice and an image online. So for me, the only thing that really changed is that there's now a line for the bathroom, because my wife works at home too. Madam Toastmaster.